Welcome. Shimon Zemer is here with me today, and we are once again talking about what is going on in Israel and what is happening with Iran. Shimon, the whole world is watching, and we're all wondering what's going to happen next. It kind of feels like we're at the top of a cliff. Something is going to happen. It sounds like it's either going to be some sort of peace agreement or some gigantic bomb, the mop bomb. And of course, we're watching from afar, but you are right there where it's all happening in Israel. And if it isn't what's happening with Hamas, now it's what's happening with Iran. Tell us how you're doing right now.
Yes. Hi, everybody. And thank you for being with us. It's very important to try to talk from first sight what is happening here. It's strange. The last week, we never heard about Hamas, about Gaza. Unfortunately, 4 soldiers were killed in Gaza last week, but it was news number 3 or news number 4. That's horrible for us because for us, every fallen soldier is the world. But meanwhile, we have a picture east from us, and that's in Iran. For years, decades, we are talking about Iran nuclear weapon. We're trying all the time to stop in all kinds of ways. The Israeli Mossad, the Israeli intelligence, they try to sabotage a few times. Once we brought from Iran the entire library with all the books and all the plans about the nuclear. We killed many Iranian scientists. So we try to fight against them.
You're saying that at one point you were able to get all of the intelligence they had on
Yeah,
it?
it was a couple of years ago when our prime
Okay.
minister showed it on the stage. He had a kind of a big closet. He pulled out the screen and all these books and notebooks and discs and all kind of other things, which it was the most secret things in Iran. So we had it. By the way, just a few days ago, Israel succeeded to demolish the copies of these things that we had in advance. However, now we woke up on a Friday a week ago, and it was a siren by night between Thursday and Friday. And as we are hearing the siren, we are running to the shelter. But as we enter to the shelter, the news came and said, don't run to the shelter. It was just alarm to notify you that we started our attack in Iran. So for us, you are waking us up? This is the reason? And the answer was yes, maybe the retaliation will be immediately by missiles.
I know that you have this very sophisticated notification system on
Yes.
your phone.
Yes.
And you were explaining it to me the other day. I'd like for you to explain it to the listeners about how does this actually work?
Okay, so first of all, I have to know, we don't know exactly how we have all the information. But in the second Iran is launching rockets, immediately we are getting on our cell phones a kind of an alarm saying in a few minutes from now, it will be the siren. We have these sensors which feeling when the missiles being launched. And we getting on our cell phones, something says in 10 minutes from now, the missiles will arrive and the siren will come. Anyways, on this Friday, Israel attacked Iran. And on the very same day, it was the first time when Iran retaliated, and they retaliated with more than 100 missiles, ballistic missiles. And we said, oh God, this is what we are going to face every evening, 100 rockets, 100 missiles? But it wasn't like that. The Israeli Air Force is doing a great job. Meanwhile, when we have now missiles, it's today, it was twice, it was 5 missiles and 7 missiles, something like that. Yesterday, it was about 20 missiles. But since the Israelis, the discipline is amazing. And the Israelis are running to the shelters with no hesitation and waiting there. So we actually don't have, since the first time they bombed Israel, we don't have any killing people, but we have lots of wounded. We're talking about hundreds of them. And of course, It's unbelievable. People saying that some parts of Israel looking like Gaza, all these destroyed houses. And it's horrible to
Do
see.
you have a sense of how wide the destruction is? We just see images of the destroyed area, but it's hard for us to really put that into perspective. Help us to do that.
Yes, a missile, it was a direct hit in a building not far away from my brother's house. I went there to see. So the building totally demolished. And about 10 buildings each side were damaged, like no windows, balconies collapsed. And in that place, I counted over 100 smashed cars, and all around roofs, tiles were blown up. And you see it all over. It's a huge machine smashed all this area. It's huge. It can be 100 of yards each side of the place.
And it doesn't seem from what I'm seeing that they're targeting specific areas. Looks like Tel Aviv is getting a lot of action, a lot of bombs. And
Yes.
now to the south in the Negev at Beersheba,
So-
that is new, a new location that they've targeted, and the hospital that they hit.
It's not that new. They're targeting to a very sensitive locations in that areas, and they actually know what they're doing.
Why would they
Tel Aviv,
choose to
Beersheba,
target Beersheba?
it's close to
Beersheba?
Beersheba. It's close to a very sensitive place there, which
What is the sensitive place there?
I don't want to say what is the place, but yeah, it's there. Everybody in Israel,
Okay.
everybody knows. But today, for an example, today we have about 10 attacks of drones. Drones flew all the way from Iran. Also, lots of damage by them, but more than 10 were already intercepted. But 10 of them succeeded to penetrate.
Iran is about 1,000 miles away, correct?
That's the border. The nearest border to Israel is about 1,000 miles, but Israel already entered to 1,700 miles deep in Iran.
Okay. Is there a sense that because there's fewer missiles coming, like you said today, there's this many, yesterday there was more, what's the sense about why not as many missiles?
So might be Israel succeeded to destroy 1/3 of their launchers. This is what was published. So maybe now they thinking more about how to use their ammunition. But let me explain something. We all have to understand. In between the years 1980 and 1988, that was a war between Iraq and Iran. 8 years. Why? It was an argument about pieces of land between the two countries. 8 years, millions of people were killed from both sides, civilians and of course, the soldiers. And after 8 years, nothing was solved. They returned to the same place on the border. But after 8 years and millions of victims, they couldn't succeed. Iraq didn't succeed to defeat Iran, and Iran didn't succeed to defeat Iraq. What I'm trying to say is that the worst thing is to go with Iran into a long war. We won't be able to keep it. You know, the economy, we are not working, children are not going to school, lots of Israelis are on reserve services. We still have a war in Gaza. We still have a war in Lebanon, a little bit in Syria, a little bit in the West Bank. So it's too spreaded, all that. And Israel won't be able to keep it for long term. The conclusion is very simple. If America is not going and helping us finishing the job, it can last for years. Look, Iran is almost 80 times larger than Israel, 80 times. There are about 100 million people. We are 10 million people. We are crying and mourning on each and every someone is killed, we are collapsing. They don't care that millions will be killed as long the purpose for them will be fulfilled. And that's a big issue. So we don't see now how it's going to be ended. By the way, just a few, like 2 hours ago, it was published that 6 B-2 aircraft began their way from America to the Middle East. And this is the only type of airplanes can finish the war.
And so, from your perspective, you would like to see the United States come in with the B-2s and drop the MOP bombs and finish the job. That's what you would hope for. That's what you want.
What do you mean I want? I don't want anyone to suffer because of me. But there is no any option to finish the war without the help of America. If I want to.
But there's a consequence.
Who am I to say I want America join the war and think about mothers sending their children fighting 10,000 miles away from home? I'm going to the other side. Yes, America is the only one can stop it. How it will be done, it's a question. It's a big question.
Why is America the only choice? Explain that to me. I realize it's somewhat related to this bomb that we have that you do not have. Why is that the only solution that makes sense in your mind?
According to the intelligence, there are 2 main sites in Iran. One is Natanz, and the other one is Fordo. Natanz, we totally destroyed it. Fordo is about close to about 300 feet, more than 300 feet underground. Only the B-2 has this huge bomb that can penetrate the mountain and to come to this depth and to destroy this institute and to prevent from the Iranian to produce it. But we know that they have about 480 pure uranium. We don't know where it is. This is a big enigma. If we would have known where it is and destroy it, no threat. But we don't know where it is. And so we can bomb here and it will be there, and we can bomb there and it will be here. Look, it's 1.5 million square kilometers, which is close to 1 million miles. Israel, Iran, as I said, 80 times Israel. So come on. It's a mice versus a big elephant. But of course we shall win, no doubt. But it will be long. And we hope that we shall get the help.
The dilemma here, as it's framed here, is once we're engaged in this war, it has consequences, of course, and retaliations against America, American interests, American citizens. So Trump is doing what he needs to do to prepare the way for the ultimate decision that he's going to make, like it or not, one way or another. He will have to make a decision. So
it started with, I'll make my decision maybe today, maybe tomorrow. This is what he said. Then just a day or 2 ago, he said, I will decide in 2 weeks from now, what we are going to do in these 2 weeks. And then he said, I prefer to negotiate. So all the time there are new sentences in the air, and so we don't know how to read it. And we know that the Americans, the majority, they doesn't want any war. And we know if it will be a big war, the price of oil will be raised dozens %. So it's going to affect the entire world. So it's a big issue for us as well.
Among the Israeli people, do you agree that it had to be done, that Netanyahu saw, or the intelligence plainly said it had to be done, it has to be done now? Do you agree with that?
My opinion, it had to be done hand with hand with America. not to start it without
Okay.
America and then to wait weeks if America will join or not. That's my opinion. I think most of the Israelis, because this is what we're doing now. We're sitting and waiting for America to come to help. I saw in the WhatsApp when they say, wow, the 6B2 began to fly from America towards the Middle East. For us, it's maybe it will be the end of the story. Otherwise, we don't see how. And you have to understand, the Iranian are very stubborn, very stubborn. And as I said, they don't mind to sacrifice people. And we have the experience from Iraq and Iran.
Let's say America comes in with the B2s and they drop the bomb and it's obliterated this second site. What then? Then what happens?
So there are a few, I would have said, an octopus with a few arms. First of all, it can bring the Houthis again into a war. There is an agreement between Donald Trump and the Houthis in Yemen. So the Houthis are not attacking America. So now they will attack America. It can bring Russia to an action because Russia said to America, whoa, don't go into this war. It can bring a coalition of Arab countries against the States, against America. Various things can happen, and really we don't know. And we don't know what it means if America will use the B2 with the big bomb. We don't know what will be the results. No one can predict. No one can see what will happen. You know what? Maybe they are not 300 or 400 feet underground. Maybe they're 700 feet underground. No one knows. Maybe they will destroy only a part of it. Look, if you're not destroying all the dots in Iran, which producing a part of the nuclear weapon, it won't be ended. Israel is doing a great job. Look, for us, it's not easy. Every flight is about 5-6 hours. Air refueling. We're flying above enemies. We're flying above sometimes Syria, above Iraq, above Jordan, which Jordan is not enemy now. Yesterday it was published that Jordan helicopters, they intercepted a few drones, came from Iran. Right. But the Israeli pilots are flying above enemies. So far, with God's help, we're doing it in an amazing way. It's a war, who knows? But no one, people sitting on TV, every channel, right. 10 people sitting on the desk. No one can answer the question, what will be, even after, if America will use the big bombs.
I think that's part of the hesitancy to use the big bombs, which, again, my point was that Israel felt like it was time to take this action. The United States knew that was going to happen, clearly. And if we are aligned in what the goal is, which is to destroy their ability to not be able to make a bomb, destroy their nuclear capability, is there another way to do that without dragging America into the war, with our assistance, but without making everybody in the region look at America as a target, which is something I'm certain we don't want. That's the rub, right? That's the hard part. If all of this gets resolved in some way, you guys have been through a protracted period of war and also a substantial hit to your economy and spending, etc. As you said, you're not working, nobody's working, the economy, all the economy's money's going towards feeding the war machine. Will it look like to start over? What's the path once there's peace for Israel to start over?
Israel is a very strong nation. I'm always giving the book of Ezekiel 37, the vision of the dry bones. We can come from the ashes. Seriously, literally, we can come from the ashes. And if you would have seen how many houses been destroyed and how many people are in hospital, but we are a very strong nation. And if the war will be over, first of all, that will help us a lot with the hostages in Gaza. That will help us a lot in order to stop the war in Gaza, because Iran is number one supplier, weapon supplier to Hamas, money, weapon, etc. Now the Hamas won't have anyone. So maybe that will also help to demolish the Hamas. But the question is very good. But we know that in any case, we should be more strong than before that. This is
It's
Israel. We know it. It's funny. I must tell you something. Yesterday, we went to my son Friday evening. My wife schlepped a big pot with food inside, and we waited on the sidewalk for my son to open the door. And suddenly, a car stopped next to us. The window was open, and someone looked at us and said, "This is for the soldiers? Are you cooking for the soldiers?" And my wife said, "No, but if you need, of course, I'll do it for next week." And what appears is that people are making food for Shabbat and driving all over to give Shabbat food to the soldiers wherever they are. So this is Israel. You understand? It's really it's beautiful. We are strong now. To come out from that, we shall come, and the houses will rebuild, and we are not afraid of that. You know what? No, that's good.
it's a beautiful image of how the Israeli people always come together and move forward, considering everything that has happened and how strong the feeling is among your neighbors that they want you out of the region. Their animosity towards you because you occupy this small piece of land is never ending. It's absurd.
What people around you saying about the United States of America? Do they have to go in, or to wait from the outside, not to step in, or to wait for negotiation, or what? What do you think?
I believe it's a mixed bag. Just as you said, there are people who are like, the B2s need to be on their way right now. We need to finish it. There's people who say we don't want to get dragged into a protracted war again, as what happened in Iraq and Afghanistan. There's a real nervousness about that, particularly when the information intelligence that we had wasn't really great to begin with for those wars.
Yes.
And then there are people who are saying we need to let diplomacy work. Our president said that he's a peacemaker. He doesn't want to get us involved in wars because he doesn't want us to spend our money on it. Of course, nobody wants Iran to have a nuclear weapon because everybody is convinced they would use it in a horrible way. That is for certain. It's just what will bring about the end. Certain Americans are worried about Iran attacking American installations in various places in the Middle East. It's not even necessarily attacking the United States, but our people all around the region. That would be a real concern.
You have a bases in Qatar. They can attack bases in Qatar.
How is your family holding up and your friends? How are you guys holding up? Not just physically, but emotionally with all of this that has been,
emotionally, it's fine. Everything is really good. Look, the children, the babies, my grandchildren, like the 3 years old, the 6 years old, a year and 5 months, my daughter succeeded to change the sirens into a type of a game. So when they're hearing it, they're going into the shelter, they're closing the door, and then they're waiting 10 minutes. They have food, water, cell phones, TV, they have everything in the shelter. It's not easy. It's not easy. Lots of people, when they're hearing the siren, the big bangs, and we're hearing sometimes the siren, and then from the shelter, we're hearing the bangs. And you can specifically say if that's a landing missile or this is interception, according to the big bang. We know how to define it.
Wow.
But people are sometimes afraid, and sometimes people getting wounded when they're running to the shelter. It happens a lot. It's not easy, of course. And people are not working, and children at home. It's very complicated. Again, I don't want to sound like a nudge, but we are strong. Seriously, we are strong. We're handling that. Yeah.
I know. Tell me, what can Americans, what can we do for you? What can the people here, my friends, people I know, what can we all do for you that would feel helpful?
Be ambassadors, spread the words, tell the truth to people, but pray for us
It's something we all
and
need
be
to do,
ambassadors.
particularly Christians.
Be
I
ambassadors.
will. We will do that. We will do that. All right, my friend, thank you for taking the time. And I'm glad there was no sirens, no rush to the shelter during our time
It
together.
will be just a question
God
of
bless
time.
you and keep you safe.
Thank you, Sandy.
Okay.
Thank
All
you, big
right.
up. Bye bye.